You've been praying, questioning, searching. There's been a whisper in your spirit, asking the universe, asking God for a sign. You've replayed moments in your mind, analyzed silences, and dissected coincidences. Something deep within you is not willing to let go. Not yet. You've looked up to the skies, to the stars, to the empty quiet of your room, and asked, if this person means something, send them back. Give me a sign. And the universe responded, not once, not vaguely, but clearly, profoundly, and undeniably. They came back, maybe in a message, maybe in a dream, maybe through a song, a smell, a shared memory that jolted your soul. You asked for confirmation, and God gave it, not to confuse you, not to tease your heart, but to wake you up to the fact that this connection is not ordinary. This person, this moment, this divine loop you keep finding yourself in, it carries purpose, NSO. Before we dive deeper into what this all means, I ask you to stay with me until the end of this video. This message isn't just something to hear, it's something to feel. And if you feel called to, write your warmest wishes in 77 in the comments. This isn't just about making a wish. It's about sending energy into the universe, syncing your spirit with divine timing, and declaring with boldness that you're ready to receive. Let this act be your spark, your ripple in the unseen realm. Wishes come true when belief meets divine order. And if this message reached you now, that's no accident. Let's be honest. When someone exits your life and then returns, it often brings more questions than answers. But what if it's not random? What if it's not weakness? What if it's guidance? The heart recognizes frequencies that logic cannot explain. There are souls you were never meant to forget, because forgetting them would mean forgetting a part of your spiritual journey. You didn't just meet them by chance. You didn't fall for them in a vacuum. And when they left, your growth didn't stop. It intensified. Your spirit matured. Your vision deepened. And now they return. Not because you need to start from zero, but because you both had to learn in separation what only distance could teach. And now God is showing you that their presence wasn't a mistake. It was a message, one that continues to unfold. And it's easy to doubt. It's tempting to call it coincidence, to harden your heart and dismiss it as timing gone wrong. But pause and ask yourself, how many times have you asked for a sign only to receive one so subtle you nearly missed it? And how many times did you brush it off, thinking maybe you were just desperate or imagining things? This time, it's different. This time, the sign was undeniable. They showed up again. Not because you're weak, but because the cycle wasn't over. Because there's something unfinished, something sacred, something that still calls out from the depths of your soul, reminding you that your connection is not based on physical presence, but on energetic alignment. And when you're spiritually aligned with someone, their return hits differently. It doesn't feel like reopening a wound. It feels like destiny cracking the door open. Gently, but clearly, and you sense it, you feel it in your bones. You recognize the lesson, the growth, the transformation. This isn't a rerun. It's a continuation, a divine sequel. The kind where both characters come back wiser, softer, more ready. And it's not just about love. It's about divine purpose, about timing, about the synchronicity that reveals itself when you've done the work, when you've healed the parts of you that once chased, begged, or settled. You're no longer in a space of desperation. You're in a space of divine reception. And that changes everything. Sometimes God allows separation to sharpen your spiritual discernment. You begin to see clearly not just who they are, but who you are in their presence. The version of you that emerged during the silence, during the confusion, during the why me phases, That version carries strength. And when they come back, it's not about losing yourself to them again. It's about honoring who you've become. You're not here to relive old wounds. You're here to rewrite the story with a new pen, a healed heart, and awakened awareness. This moment is your spiritual checkpoint. A divine mirror is being held up. Can you look into it without fear? Can you receive what's returning with eyes of faith instead of fear? Can you embrace the possibility that God is actually confirming what you suspected all along? That this connection wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual? That even when they were gone, they were being prepared for you, and you and all your patience were being refined for them. Love that is divinely orchestrated doesn't come when you demand it. It comes when you're ready to recognize it. Let this return be your confirmation, not your confusion. Let it affirm what your soul knew in the silence. You didn't imagine the bond. You didn't make up the meaning. You didn't love blindly. You saw their soul before the world saw your connection. You held space when the world called you naive. And now, God is showing you that your intuition was sacred all along. That your love wasn't wasted, it was witnessed. That every tear you cried in silence was watering the garden of divine timing. And this person returning isn't just a random event, it's a divine echo. A ripple of your spiritual yearning that finally made its way back to you. Not to replay the past, but to rewrite the future. But here's the thing, you have a choice. You can either approach this moment with the same fear that held you back before, or with the clarity that your healing has earned. Don't waste the sign. Don't ignore the signal. You asked, and it was given. So now, you must decide how you'll respond. Will you trust what you prayed for? NTHE Universe speaks in nudges, in whispers, in timing, and sometimes it speaks through people, especially the ones your soul can't seem to forget. The ones who come back when you least expect it, in ways that awaken something dormant within you. This is not by accident. This is alignment. You asked for clarity, and the universe delivered a person. You asked for direction, and God gave you a heart to recognize. That is how divine messages work. They show up in human form. They knock gently. They look like a text at the right time, a name you see again and again, a memory that haunts and heals at the same time. These are not just memories, they are reminders. Reminders that you are not alone in your journey, that the connection you felt was not one-sided. That love, true, divine love, transcends absence. You were chosen to feel this, to hold this awareness, to witness this divine orchestration. Not everyone is entrusted with a connection that defies time and logic, but you were, because your heart has the strength to believe in the unseen, because your soul was ready to receive what your eyes couldn't see yet. And now, it's here, they're here. And you are not the same person who once begged for clarity. You are now the person who recognizes it when it arrives. This is your sign. This is your confirmation. God sent them again because you finally became the version of yourself that could receive the truth you once ran from. You see, when someone returns after a period of silence or distance, it's not always about rekindling a romance or restarting an old chapter. It's often about illumination. It's about showing you where you've grown, where you still carry resistance, and where the energy between you both has shifted. That return, even if temporary, is like a mirror. It reflects who you've become. It shows whether you've truly healed or simply learned to suppress what needed to be felt. Because if you're still triggered, still afraid, still trying to force an outcome, then the sign isn't just about them. It's also about your readiness. When God sends someone back into your life, It's rarely to play out the same story twice. The return itself is the awakening. It's a moment that demands inner honesty. What do you feel? What has shifted? What boundaries have you built or dissolved? What part of your spirit is still holding on to hope? And what part has surrendered? This is sacred work, not surface-level emotion. This is the divine checking in on your alignment, not just your desire. You can't fake inner peace. You can't force timing. And you cannot manipulate divine alignment. That's why this return hits different. It doesn't feel like manipulation. It doesn't feel like chaos. It feels like completion or continuation. And the difference between those two depends on your heart's truth. Because sometimes they return for closure. Sometimes they return for clarity. And sometimes they return for connection. But all of it is divine if your perspective is tuned to growth and not just gratification. NTHE version of you that asked for a sign was a version still in questioning, but the version of you witnessing the return has evolved. You're not just asking anymore, you're listening. You're not just hoping, you're discerning. This is spiritual maturity at work, and when God recognizes that level of growth in you, He brings you confirmations, not to flatter your ego, but to realign your soul. So when they return, ask yourself, what energy are they carrying now? What energy are you radiating in return? The answers to those questions reveal the lesson. Divine signs don't always come wrapped in perfection. Often, they come in raw, real, imperfect moments. A simple hi, a reappearance at the exact moment your faith was faltering, a memory that floods your mind during meditation. These are all messages. But you have to stop brushing them off. You have to stop dismissing the divine just because it doesn't look like a movie scene. Real signs meet you in your real life, in the mess, the routine, the silence. Then what makes it a sign isn't the way it arrives. It's the way it stirs your spirit. Does it wake something within you? Does it call you to awareness? Does it align with the prayer you whispered weeks ago, hoping for a response? If so, it's a sign. And you must treat it with sacred respect. Don't manipulate it. Don't overanalyze it. Just receive it and reflect on what it means for your growth. NNOT. Everyone is ready to handle signs. Some want them just to satisfy curiosity, not to fuel transformation. But you're different. You're still here, listening, because you know this is more than a coincidence. You feel the spiritual weight of this return. It's not light. It's not random. And it's not without purpose. God doesn't recycle pain just to torment you. He brings things back to the surface when you're strong enough to look at them with clear eyes. And if this person is back in your awareness, it means the lesson they carry is still active. It doesn't matter if they stay or go. It matters what you learn through their presence. It matters what you feel rising within you. It matters how you respond. The sign was given. Now the shift depends on you. Sometimes the answer isn't in getting them back. Sometimes the answer is in getting yourself back while they return. Their presence can be a catalyst, not a conclusion. They remind you of who you were, but they also reflect who you've become. And if you've truly healed, you'll feel peace, not pressure, clarity, not confusion. That's how you'll know the sign is doing its job. NTHE. More tuned in you become spiritually, the more sensitive you are to these divine nudges. You begin to recognize how interconnected everything is. You see how nothing arrives without timing, how people are placed in your path with precision. That's what this is. Precision. This person returning isn't about drama. It's about divine calculation. The right time, the right energy, the right level of spiritual awareness. That's why it's happening now and not before. You weren't ready before. They weren't ready before. And maybe even now you both are still learning. But the fact that it's happening again is proof that the energy between you two is still alive, still magnetic, still unfolding. You can't deny what's real. You can suppress it. You can ignore it. But it will still find its way back to you until you've truly integrated its meaning. You asked for a sign, and the return is your sign. Not just that they miss you, not just that they remember you, but that there is still something sacred between you both that deserves to be acknowledged. You don't have to rush. You don't have to act. But you do have to honor it. Denying a sign doesn't make it disappear. It just delays your growth. There is power in stillness, power in reflection, power in choosing not to chase or cling, but simply to receive and understand. Let this moment be that. Let it be your opportunity to sit with the feeling, to listen without reacting, to feel without needing to define it. Divine signs often lead you to questions, not just answers. That's their purpose, to invite you deeper into your truth. And your truth has always known this person mattered. Your spirit has always felt the pull. Your soul has always carried the memory of something more. That's why you asked. That's why you prayed. That's why you cried. Because somewhere deep inside, you knew this wasn't finished. And now, the universe is confirming it. NNOT, everything that returns is meant to stay, but everything that returns is meant to teach. And if you receive the teaching, the clarity that follows is life-changing. You stop questioning your intuition. You stop asking if you made it all up. You begin to trust your inner voice, and that trust becomes your spiritual compass. Don't underestimate the courage it took to ask for a sign. Don't downplay the power of receiving one. This isn't small. This isn't trivial. This is sacred confirmation. You've been seen. Your soul has been acknowledged. Your heart has been heard. And the sign you received, their return, is part of your divine story. Let it guide you, not bind you. Let it uplift you, not weigh you down. Let it expand your faith, not your fear. Because signs are not always about getting what you want. They're about becoming who you're meant to be. When you're walking through life spiritually awake, you start realizing that signs aren't always about the external world changing. Often, they're about your internal world responding. That flutter in your chest, that wave of déjà vu, that unmistakable moment of alignment. It's your spirit speaking. And if you've asked for a sign, and someone reappears, you must pay attention not only to their presence, but to your response. Do you feel peace? A stirring of hope? A quiet recognition that no matter how long it's been, something still feels aligned? These sensations are messages too. NTOO. Many people look for fireworks, for grand gestures, for immediate clarity. But signs aren't always loud. Sometimes they whisper. Sometimes they feel like a gentle breeze brushing past your soul, reminding you that the story isn't over. You're not crazy for feeling it. You're not foolish for believing it. You're spiritually sensitive, and that's a gift. It means you are tuned in to what many people ignore. It means you are walking with open eyes, seeing what lies beneath the surface. And it's in those quiet moments, when the world is still and your heart begins to stir, that you realize something greater is at work. This isn't a fantasy. This is alignment. This is something that's moved beyond timing, beyond logic. It's spirit to spirit, soul to soul. And the reason it feels so intense is because it's not confined by time. It's not bound by distance. When you carry a soul connection with someone, their return doesn't shock you. It affirms you. It makes everything you felt in their absence suddenly make sense. Because deep down, you never stopped holding space. You never fully let go of the idea that there was more to this. Even when your mind tried to rationalize your way out of it, your soul kept whispering, "There's still something here." And now, that something is back. But not to drag you backward. It's here to meet you where you are now. Wiser, deeper, more grounded. NTHE Universe is intentional. Every return is timed with divine precision. Maybe it's to give you peace. Maybe it's to awaken love again. Or maybe it's to help you realize how far you've come. Either way, there's meaning. Don't ignore it. Don't brush it off as coincidence. That would be doing a disservice to all the growth you've undergone in silence. You weren't just waiting, you were evolving. And now the timing is sacred. It might not make perfect sense to your logical mind, but your spirit knows. Your dreams have hinted at it. Your intuition has felt it. The signs have been stacking quietly in the background of your life. And now, here it is. They show up again. A reminder. A reflection. A symbol of the connection that never truly died. It just rested. NFOR. Some of you, this return may bring a surge of emotion. A tidal wave of unspoken words, of past memories, of what-ifs and almosts. That's okay. Let yourself feel it all. Because this is not about running from the past. It's about reclaiming it, healing it, and deciding if it still belongs in your future. Not all returns mean reconciliation, but every return is meaningful. Even temporary reappearances carry lasting spiritual impact. This person may not know they're your sign. They may not realize the role they play in your awakening. But the moment they cross your path again, the atmosphere shifts. Something awakens. Something spiritual clicks into place. And that's not about ego, that's not about fantasy. That's divine orchestration. That's the kind of energy you can't fake. It's either there or it isn't. And when it returns, your soul feels it instantly. And yet, here's the most important part. Don't chase it. Don't force it. Don't try to make it into something it's not. Signs are invitations, not guarantees. They're moments of spiritual clarity, not promises of specific outcomes. Your job is not to control the sign. It's to understand what it's showing you about yourself, your growth, and your alignment. Maybe the sign is here to tell you that you're ready, that you've healed, that you can love again, freely, without fear. Or maybe it's showing you where you still need to let go, where you're still attached to a version of them that no longer exists. Either way, it's a gift. It's a guidepost on your journey. It's not here to bind you. It's here to bless you with awareness. Sometimes God brings people back into your life, not so you can resume where you left off, but so you can finally see the full picture. So you can see how all the pain, the waiting, the wondering had purpose. That what felt like abandonment was actually preparation. That what looked like rejection was actually redirection. And now that you're standing in a new version of yourself, you can see it clearly. You don't need to beg for love. You don't need to cling to hope. You can receive with grace. You can recognize with clarity. This is your spiritual test, but also your spiritual reward. The test is in how you respond. The reward is in what it awakens. When you asked for a sign, you didn't know how it would arrive. But here it is, right in front of you. Will you honor it? Will you see it for what it truly is? Will you allow it to refine you? There's no need to panic, no need to rush into decisions. When the divine sends a sign, it also sends the timing to match. Everything is orchestrated. Everything is unfolding. And if they came back into your world, even briefly, it's because something about your vibration pulled them back. Something about your evolution made space for that intersection. You are not the same person you were when they left. And that's the greatest sign of all. Not that they returned, but that you have become someone who can now hold this moment with dignity, discernment, and divine peace. The storm you walked through in their absence built this version of you. And now, you are able to look them in the eyes and see not just the past, but the possibility. And it's tempting to ask, why now? Why again? But maybe the better question is, what is this moment revealing to me about myself? Because every return reveals something. It either shows you the door to your next chapter with them, or the final closure that sets you free, and either outcome is divine. Either way, it was a prayer answered. A sign given, a cycle respected. NSO, take a breath. Be present. Feel the weight of this moment, not as a burden but as a breakthrough. You asked for a sign, and God didn't just whisper. It echoed, through them, through their timing, through the connection that refuses to die. That's not a mistake. That's a message, and your spirit is ready to receive it. You've reached a pivotal place in your journey, the place where the past no longer holds you hostage, but still echoes its wisdom through the people who return. The reappearance of this person is not just about closure or even reconciliation. It's about awareness. It's about presence. It's about recognizing that you are standing in a sacred space where your inner and outer worlds are beginning to align in a way they never have before. That's the thing about divine timing. It's silent, subtle, but unmistakably powerful. One day you're quietly going about your life, and the next, there they are again. It feels like a soul whisper answered, a longing reflected back to you, and yet you feel different, stronger, wiser. The emotions are still real, still powerful, but they no longer control you. That is a sign in itself, not just that they've returned, but that you are ready to see everything clearly. Old you might have rushed in, might have clung to the idea that love must be claimed quickly or lost forever. But this version of you knows better. This version is anchored in truth. You understand now that what is meant for you will never need to be forced. That love sent by the divine doesn't play games. It aligns. That's why this return matters. Not because it's perfect, not because it guarantees anything, but because it reflects a spiritual shift, a readiness, a deeper understanding of who you are and what you deserve. And still, emotions may swirl, questions may rise. You may find yourself wondering if it's okay to believe again, to trust what you feel, to let your guard down. And the answer is yes, but only from a place of clarity, not desperation. You're not seeking rescue anymore. You're not hoping to be chosen. You already are, chosen by the divine, seen by the universe, loved by something far greater than another human being's affection. This person returning may not even fully understand why they've come back into your awareness. They may feel a pull, a draw, a sudden desire to reconnect. And it's not random. It's soul energy. It's divine orchestration working through their free will. And that's why you must stay grounded. Because when spirit leads, it doesn't always make logical sense. It calls you deeper. It asks for trust. And sometimes, it simply wants you to observe, not act. Don't rush to label this connection. Don't demand a title. The label is irrelevant if the energy isn't right. What matters now is presence, realness, honesty. Can you sit with them without trying to control the narrative? Can you observe what they're showing you now, instead of projecting what you want to see? Can you remain in your power while still remaining open? NT-hos are the signs of maturity. That's the mark of someone who's done the inner work. When the return no longer shakes your foundation, but instead confirms how rooted you've become, that's when you know this is not just an emotional test, it's a spiritual one. It's not about going back, it's about checking alignment, about measuring how far your soul has come since the last time they held space in your life. Let the return be a checkpoint, not a command. Don't assume you must act. Sometimes the return is about observing your reaction. Does your heart race from fear or from familiarity? Do you shrink or expand in their presence? These are clues. Your body speaks the truth before your mind catches up. Listen to it. Honor it. And if you find peace in their presence now, that's a beautiful sign. If you find yourself triggered, that's a beautiful sign too, because it shows you where healing is still needed. Don't resist either outcome. Both are gifts. Both are valid. Both will lead you closer to your center. And this is where your true power emerges, in your response, in your ability to choose presence over panic, grace over grasping, surrender over control. You asked for a sign, and now you've been given something precious, an opportunity to see your own evolution in action. Will you let it breathe? Will you allow the energy to unfold without trying to bend it to your will? Because divine connections do not respond to force, they respond to flow. They move when both hearts are open, when both souls are willing, when the timing is ripe. And even then, they may only be here for a moment, to teach, to affirm, to remind. Not everything returns to stay. Some returns are meant to spark clarity, not commitment. And if you can accept that, if you can honor the moment without trying to stretch it into something it's not, then you've already passed the spiritual test. You're learning that your peace is your compass. That if the energy feels calm, honest, and open, you're on the right path. And if it feels chaotic, inconsistent, or confusing, that's also a message. Don't try to decode mixed signals. They are a sign in themselves. The divine doesn't need you to beg for love. It simply needs you to be still enough to feel the truth of what's present. And the truth is, this moment is sacred. Whether this person stays or goes, the gift is the sign itself. The confirmation that your prayers were not lost, that your heart's whispers were heard, that your intuition was correct. There was meaning in the connection. There still is. And even if it doesn't unfold into the outcome you once dreamed of, that doesn't make the moment any less holy. Love can be real and still not be forever. A return can be divinely timed and still not permanent. What makes it sacred is how it transforms you, how it reveals the places where you've grown and the places still calling for light. Let yourself feel all of it. The hope, the hesitation, the wonder. Let yourself explore what's rising inside you. But don't attach, don't grip. Be curious, not consumed. This is how you stay in alignment. This is how you respect the sign you asked for. And if you're still unsure what to do next, let that be okay. Let stillness be your next move. You don't need immediate answers. You only need honesty. You only need presence. The truth always finds its way forward when you stop forcing and start listening. Because if this person came back, it's not a coincidence. It's not random. It's not meaningless. It's the divine responding to your heart, your prayers, your longing. Not always with a fairy tale, but always with purpose. Always with clarity, if you're willing to receive it. NSO, sit with this moment. Let it speak to you. Don't demand a conclusion. Just be with the sign. Let it teach you. Let it soften you. Let it lead you home, to yourself. You've come too far to misread this moment. There was a time when your heart would have taken this sign and run with it, clinging tightly, creating stories before seeing the truth. But now, you know better. You feel the energy. You sense the shift. You understand that just because someone returns doesn't mean they are the same as they once were. And neither are you. The version of you that asked for the sign and the version of you that's now receiving it are not the same person. That's the point of this divine encounter. Not just to reflect someone else's journey, but to mirror your own growth. Can you see how much stronger you are now? How your heart still feels, but no longer drowns in emotion? How your mind still wonders, but doesn't spiral into fantasy? You are grounded, you are aware, and you are ready, not just for love, but for truth. And truth doesn't always come in pretty packages. Sometimes it shows up wrapped in questions, in mixed timing, in connections that still carry tension. That doesn't mean it's not real. That doesn't mean it's not a sign. It means the sign has layers. It means your spirit is being asked to trust the unfolding, even when your ego wants clarity now. NTHE Divine rarely delivers closure in the way we expect. Sometimes the closure is silent, sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it looks like a brief message, a sudden visit, a familiar song playing just when you are about to give up. And sometimes closure isn't needed because what's happening is continuation, not conclusion. That's why this moment feels so charged, so important. Because deep down, you know it's more than a coincidence. You know your prayers have returned in human form. You can feel the sacred in their voice, their presence. Even if no words are spoken, you sense the spiritual weight of the moment. And it humbles you. This isn't about ego anymore. It's not about being chosen by someone else. It's about recognizing that you were chosen to carry this connection. You were entrusted with this depth of love. That's not small, that's not weak, that's spiritual strength. It means your soul has the capacity to hold something sacred, even through pain, even through silence, even through uncertainty. And now that they're here again, physically, emotionally, energetically, it's time to listen. Not with your mind, not with your insecurities, but with your spirit. What are they really saying? What is the energy between you really asking for? Is this a reopening? A release? A moment to speak the truth you once buried, or to finally accept the truth you once denied? NNO matter the answer. The power is in your awareness. The power is in your ability to remain rooted in yourself while still being open to what this return is bringing. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to force anything. Your only job is to be present, to meet the moment with the wholeness you've earned. NIF, there is something left to say. Say it. If there is something left to feel, let yourself feel it. But don't do it to change them. Don't do it to get a certain outcome. Do it because it honors your truth, because it frees your spirit. Because this return isn't about rewriting the past. It's about owning who you are now in the presence of someone who once knew a version of you that no longer exists. They may recognize you. They may not. But what matters is that you recognize yourself. That you no longer shrink to fit into the space they once gave you. That you now speak from a place of fullness, not fear. That's the real transformation. That's what the divine wanted you to see all along. NTHE person who returns is often still figuring out their own path. They may not have the clarity you do. They may be confused, hesitant, or afraid. Don't let their uncertainty dim your light. Don't let their silence unsettle your peace. You've done the work to get here. You've learned to trust your energy. You've grown in ways no one else fully knows. This moment is not about proving anything. It's about alignment. It's about whether the energies can now meet in truth. And if they can't, that's okay too. Because the sign was never about them. It was about you, your awareness, your clarity, your ability to remain soft yet strong, open yet grounded. Let go of the idea that this has to look a certain way. Sometimes the most powerful moments are the ones without endings. The ones where you choose yourself without anger, where you say your truth without expecting a reaction, where you release them with gratitude instead of resentment. That's spiritual mastery. And if the return is real, if their energy matches yours, if their presence feels like expansion and not contraction, then you'll know. You won't have to ask. You won't have to beg. It will feel natural, aligned, like a door gently opening, not one you're forcing to break down. And this kind of love, the kind that returns again and again, the kind that echoes even in absence, is not ordinary. It's rare, it's powerful, but it's also sensitive. It requires truth. It requires emotional honesty. And above all, it requires both people to meet each other where they are now, not where they left each other in the past. NSO, take your time. Speak clearly. Listen deeply. And remember, the return is the sign. The question is what you'll do with it. Will you trust it? Will you grow from it? Will you release the story that was so you can step fully into the one that wants to begin? Nor, maybe, will you let this be the sacred end of a chapter that already taught you everything it was meant to? There's no wrong answer. There's only truth, and your heart already knows it. You just have to be brave enough to hear it. When a soul touches yours, it leaves an imprint. No matter how much time has passed, no matter how much distance or silence exists, that energetic bond can't be erased. It may quiet down, it may become a whisper instead of a roar, but it still lives in you. And when the time is right, when the alignment is right, that energy returns, not to haunt you, but to guide you, to remind you that love doesn't just disappear, it transforms, it evolves, it revisits when there's something more to be understood. This moment you're experiencing, where someone you once held deeply in your spirit returns, is not a rewind. It's not a glitch, it's not a test you failed. It's a reflection of divine movement. This is the universe telling you there's something here still unfolding. And the most sacred part? You get to decide how to hold it. With reverence, with awareness, with self-respect and soulful observation. Your growth has earned you this choice. You are no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You are no longer ruled by hope that blinds you. Now, you see clearly, you feel deeply, but you act wisely. That's what maturity looks like. That's what the divine was preparing you for during the silence, so that when the sign arrived, when they returned, you would meet the moment with clarity, not chaos. Because there's a very fine line between divine alignment and old pattern repetition. And your job is to discern which this is. Are they returning with peace in their spirit, or are they bringing the same wounds? Are they here to build something new, or to pull you back into something broken? These are not questions of suspicion. They're questions of wisdom. You are not cold for asking them. You are not bitter for being cautious. You are evolved. You are sacred, and your energy deserves to be honored. If they cannot meet you with the same intention, with the same depth, with the same honesty, they are not ready, and that's okay, because you are not here to force anyone to see what you already know in your soul. NTHE, beauty of this sign isn't in their return, it's in your reaction to it. It's in how you hold yourself, in how you respond instead of react, in how you can see the significance without falling into illusion. That's the kind of spiritual intelligence most people pray for, and you have it now. You've been gifted with it through every heartbreak, every unanswered question, every sleepless night where you ask the universe why. This is your answer, not in the form of a yes or no, but in the form of a mirror, a sacred reflection. This return may be brief, or it may stretch into something deeper. Either way, the lesson is alive. The connection has spoken. You were not wrong to love them. You were not wrong to feel the depth. And you are not wrong now to be cautious, to take your time, to ask the questions your soul needs answers to. There is no rush. The divine doesn't operate on pressure. It operates on presence. And if you sit with that presence long enough, you'll feel the truth of it settling in your bones. This is not about going back. This is about seeing everything clearly now, seeing them not through the lens of longing, but through the lens of truth. Seeing yourself not as someone waiting to be chosen, but as someone already walking in divine grace. This is a sacred place, the space between what was and what could be. Handle it with care. Speak slowly. Listen deeply. Don't just hear what they say. Feel the energy they bring. Does it calm your spirit or rattle your peace? Does it make you feel seen, or do you feel like you're shrinking again to be accepted? These questions hold your truth. They are your compass, because love, real, soul-rooted love, doesn't ask you to abandon yourself. It asks you to come home to yourself while standing beside someone who is doing the same. That's the new way. That's divine partnership. That's what you've been prepared for. And if this return is meant to evolve into something lasting, it will do so with gentleness, with ease, with mutual clarity. You will not have to beg. You will not have to decode. You will not have to trade your peace for potential. Divine love doesn't feel like anxiety. It feels like breath, like grounding, like recognition without resistance. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to break them, to rise above them, to finally step into the chapter where you no longer sacrifice your worth just to feel connection. The divine sent this person again, but not to save you, to show you, to reflect, to confirm. And only you can decide what happens next. Don't underestimate the power of your stillness, of your silence, of your observation. These are your tools now. You've moved past proving, past performing. Now you move with purpose. Now you listen for alignment. In IF, they are ready. They will meet you there. If they are not, you will release them with love. And neither outcome will break you, because the sign already did its job. It reminded you who you are, and it reminded you that your spirit knows, and it reminded you that you're never alone in this journey, and it reminded you that the universe is listening. Always. You're standing in a space that few ever truly reach, a space where clarity and divine timing converge. You've walked through the confusion. You've faced the silence. You've cried for answers, begged for peace, and released more than most will ever know. And now, here you are, staring directly at the very thing you asked for. A sign, a return, a moment wrapped in divine meaning. Don't overlook the weight of what you're experiencing. This isn't just a maybe or a coincidence you can casually brush aside. This is the fulfillment of a soul request, something deeper than words. You sent out a question, a longing, a prayer, and the universe responded, not with noise, but with alignment, with an unmistakable signal that said, "You are heard, you are seen, and you are not crazy for feeling what you felt." They came back, maybe not with fanfare, maybe not with perfect words or promises, but they came back in energy, in timing, in a shift so undeniable, your soul leaned forward the moment it happened. That's what makes this so powerful. Not what they said, not what they did, but what you felt in your being the second they reappeared. This is what real signs feel like. They don't always answer every question, but they confirm every intuition. They validate the invisible thread you've always felt but couldn't explain. The connection that lived quietly inside you even when the world told you to forget. This isn't fantasy. This is frequency. This is spiritual data showing up in real time. NBUT. Here's where your power truly rises. You get to choose what happens next. You no longer need to act from lack or longing. You now act from alignment. You're not grasping, you're not clinging, you're not romanticizing. You're simply observing what is, and from that clarity, you move. Maybe this is a new beginning, a reawakening of something sacred, rebuilt on stronger foundations. Or maybe it's a final farewell, a closure not marked by pain but by peace. Either way, it's divine. Either way, you are walking in your truth. Either way, the sign has served its purpose. You are the anchor now. You are the compass. And your ability to stay grounded in your spirit while navigating what unfolds is the most powerful gift you've received through this journey. You don't need to chase. You don't need to force. The right people, the aligned souls, the divinely connected ones. They don't leave you confused. They come with clarity, or they leave with grace. And if this person is meant to stay, they will rise to meet the version of you that no longer accepts halfway love. They will reflect your growth. They will not pull you backward. They will not ignite chaos. They will not need to be convinced of your worth. They will recognize it immediately, because they too have evolved. Because they too heard the same soul whisper that brought them back into your world. NBUT, even if they don't. If their return is brief, if it serves only as a final echo of something beautiful but incomplete, you still win. You still rise. Because you no longer need anything outside of you to feel whole. You've become the answer to your own prayer. You've learned to trust your intuition. You've remembered who you are. This is the turning point. The moment where you stop searching for confirmation from others and start trusting the confirmation that already lives in your spirit. The return was never about them. It was about you. About your connection to something higher. About your ability to feel deeply and still stay grounded. About learning to trust your journey, even when it doesn't make immediate sense. You've passed the test. You've stayed soft in a world that tried to harden you. You've remained open in the face of disappointment. You've kept your spirit receptive to love without letting it break you. That is power. That is divine resilience. That is what makes you ready, not just for this person, but for the kind of love and life that matches your soul's frequency. NSO breathe. Smile. Let this moment be what it is. A return, a sign, a blessing, a lesson. Whatever it turns into, let it unfold naturally. You don't need to rush it, label it, or control it. You just need to stay aligned. Stay true, stay aware. You asked for a sign, and it came. Now walk forward with peace, knowing that whether this was the start of something beautiful or the graceful end of a sacred chapter, you are exactly where you're meant to be, and your spirit already knows the way from here.